Hello everyone. Today we're going to start to build strength, a little more focus there, but we're going to do it in such a way that you won't even hardly notice the challenge. You'll be into it before you even realize. And we're going to do that by just starting slowly as we usually do, but building very steadily and using everything we know about warming up the body and breathing, and just see how this works for you. Just immerse yourself in the experience and let's see what happens. Okay, so come into your comfortable seated posture, whatever that is for you today, and just allow yourself this time to settle and just separate yourself from everything that's happening outside and just be with yourself for the next hour. Just slowly close your eyes if you haven't already got there and see what's going on in there. See how you're feeling. Just notice and allow yourself to build that connection with the floor first, with the sits bones or whatever happens to be on the floor. If you're sitting on a chair, of course, it's the soles of your feet. And get that feeling of lengthening and extension against that downward pressure of the anchoring. And when you feel like you can comfortably sustain this lengthening, a little lift in your heart, but you can still release the sits bones into the posture, release the legs or feet into the posture, then you can start to shift your focus, broaden it out into the breathing. So at this point, all you're doing is you're focusing on fuller inhales and longer, slower exhales. And as you begin to shift there into the breath, you might notice a little tension around the jaw or the shoulders, and you know what to do. Just start to release and just be really present with this practice of just letting go and becoming really focused and immersed. So that by now the breath is probably up to about a 6 count, and continue with that. And maybe you can broaden out when you inhale to cause more expansion, particularly around the upper chest, all around that sort of circumference of the chest. And when you exhale, you just let it all go. And at the conclusion of the exhale, maybe you can pull the navel in and up just a little bit. Lovely. And just 2 more breaths like that. And then just slowly blink your eyes open and let your arms slide off to the sides of the body, turning the palms outward. As you, on your next inhale, just get as long as you can through the arms from breastbone outward, and then bring those arms up over your head. And there's where you focus on length one more time. Press down through the sits bones on the next inhale. Press out through the fingertips and feel the length. And then as you exhale, just let the arms drop down so the hands come to the heart. Namaste. Well done. Let's go ahead and lie back for just a few minutes now. So we're going to come to the floor and just let yourself come there nice and slowly. But then when you get there, take just a moment to really allow the body to sink and surrender to the floor. And with this surrendering, go ahead and bring your arms up over your head and think of the body, the arms and legs in particular, in sort of an X shape, and nice, not a broad X shape, but just a nice little loose X shape. And again, allow a breath or 2 for your body just to surrender its weight. And then here we go. So on the next inhale, I want you to reach out with the right arm and the right leg, flex that foot, and feel that stretch coming from the side waist all the way outward. So you're even feeling, of course, the shoulder joint and the hip joint stretch. And release as you exhale. And do the same thing on the other side. You're reaching with the left arm and the left leg, flexing the left foot, but you feel the stretch actually begin right here at the midline of the body in the side waist. Very nice. And one more time on either side. You're reaching with the right side of the body and releasing. Nice full breathing. And next inhale, left side of the body, and then release. And then let's just do that diagonally, just another breath on either side. So next inhale, you're reaching with the right arm and the left leg. Let's feel that little X diagonally now across the body energetically, and then release. And then on the next inhale, you're reaching with the left arm and the right leg. And again, that little diagonal energetic stretch, and then release. Just the next couple of breaths, we're stretching arms and legs, feeling it begin at the midline. Let it go, sounding sigh as you exhale. One more time, inhale and release as you exhale. Bring your arms a little more over your head and your legs together. If it feels okay, you can point your thumbs down. For me, that's sort of a comfortable angle for my arms, and I don't have to use a lot of energy to hold my arms up. But for you, it might feel better just to put the backs of your hands or even to interlock your fingers. So just see what feels really good for you. On your next inhale, you're just going to get as long as you can. I want you to even imagine the airspace between each and every vertebra and your spine as you stretch arms and legs. And then when you exhale, just release the weight of the body slightly to the floor, but I want you to really feel the core drawing inward. So it's almost like there's a little caving in right here in your abdominal area. And again, when you inhale, stretch it out. Flex the feet. Let it feel good. And when you exhale, release first, but then feel the abdominal core draw inward. If it helps, sometimes you can just lengthen the back of your neck in this phase as well. And then one more time, inhaling, really reaching, and exhaling, letting go, and then feeling the abdominal core draw in. I want you to notice how just stretching and moving with breath starts to warm up the body. On your next exhale, let's release the arms to the sides of the body. Bend your knees. Draw both thighs and knees towards the chest. And as you exhale, just see how close can you get those thighs to the body as you, of course, draw the core inward. And as you inhale, if it feels okay, you can release it just a little bit. And then draw it back in as you exhale. Firm abdominal core work, even in this little passive pose. As you inhale, release. As you exhale, draw it back in again. And then let's just focus on side to side for just a moment. So stretch the left leg out. Interlock your hands just above the right shin. As you exhale, draw the right thigh closer into the body, and inhale, stretch the left leg out a little more. Maybe flex the foot so it's like the left foot is standing on a surface. Just have another breath like that. Lovely. And then inhale, draw the right leg up and press out through the heel, and slowly on the exhale, just let that right leg come to the floor. And then draw the left knee into the body. Interlock your hands and just see how close you can get that thigh towards the body. Maybe just another inch, but just see, just reach your natural edge here. And on the inhale, you're trying to get the right leg nice and long and extended. And can you hold this for another breath? On your next inhale, breathe that left leg up and flex out through the foot. And then as you exhale, you're dropping that leg right to the floor. Bend the knees and clasp the fingers right around the back of your neck. Let's draw both knees a little towards the ceiling, and so the feet rise up off the floor. And let's just have a little movement here where we're just going side to side. And we've done this before. It's a lovely energetic sort of movement for the spine. I invite you to focus on exhales if you want to be really vigorous with this. If it feels better to you, just have really strong, long breaths and just do the movement without focusing on just exhales. The idea is to try to get nice and loose and free with the movement. So you start to feel a warming in your spine all the way from the base of your tailbone all the way up your spine. Lovely. And then just come to stillness when you're ready. And leaving the hands interlocked there, let's go ahead and just raise the calves and the shins so they're parallel with the floor, or thereabouts. And the hip joints at this point are right underneath your knees. I want you just to we're having just a little practice and a reminder of our core work. So you're drawing the navel inward and get a sense that really deep inside, like maybe imagine your sits bones deep down towards the floor, are trying to sort of go a little closer together, but also your hip points. So it's very subtle. But as you're drawing in with the navel, those two little things are happening, and just feel that firmness. And from here, if you'd like to challenge that a little bit, you can just let your feet come forward. So what that does, that brings the knees forward of your hip joints, and you're still really holding that core firmly in place. And you just want to challenge it so that you have to work a little bit. And that's the level sometimes that you'll need to come to, especially in the standing strength building poses. So everybody now come off that by just bringing the knees a little closer in, separate the knees and groins just a little bit, little movement. And let's just try it one more time, okay? So you're bringing the thighs closer in, and then bring the shins parallel with the floor and the ceiling, and just see what happens. You're really drawing inward with the core. And remember, the low back is trying to make contact with the floor a little bit, just to hold everything firmly, and just feel that challenge. And you can breathe through it, but you'll need to do chest breathing because you want that core to stay really firm. And when you're ready, just draw the knees back and draw the thighs closer into the body. And separate the groins and just rock a little bit side to side. I want you to notice the sensations in your low back now. All should feel like sort of, oh, that feels good. I'm hoping it feels like that for you. And then let's all come to hands and knees position. You could come however you'd like. If you want to try a little bit of just that rounding and flexibility building in your spine. You just roll a little bit until we can all come forward. And you're coming right into the hands and knees position. We're just going to move steadily now. Find your position where the hands are really rooted, fingers are nice and spread, and you feel a little more engagement in the inner hand. Get yourself in the position. As you inhale next, a little pressure into the hands. As you lift the heart and lift the tailbone. As you exhale, you're feeling the abdominal core work as you just round the spine. Just allow the chin to come down and the tailbone to curl under. And here we go, just on your own breath. As you inhale, come into the cow position, heart lifted, tailbone lifted, pressing into the inner hands. And as you exhale, round the spine and just feel that tummy button pull in. Just come to your own sort of full point stopping on either end. So when you're inhaling, you'll feel the spine extend and go into a little back bend. And as you exhale, you're going to feel the forward bend sort of position and the rounding of the spine. Now, if you'd like, the next time you get to the exhale phase, you can come into cat-cow wheel, drop your hips towards your heels. As you inhale, you look forward a little bit and you're just pulling, tractioning the floor towards you. Let the elbows come straight down. Don't let them splay out. Just pull the floor towards you so your arms are engaged a little bit. Coming in to the cow position. Just like that. So just now that you know the movement, of course, let's just work on breathing and smoothing it out. Just a couple more breaths. Just go with this, that feeling of breath with movement. And the next time you inhale, we're going to pull ourselves up just into the tabletop position. Very nice. Put the hands one hand length further ahead of your shoulders. Flex the toes under and let's all come into a downward facing dog. Remember, in downward facing dog, you want to keep your knees bent just at first, but you really want to try to lengthen the arms. Relax your head and neck. And just for a moment, let's all focus on the arms. And I'd like for you to start to really feel the spiral effect in the arms. And what that means is you're feeling a little more pressure towards the inner hands and of course the roots of the fingers. And notice as you do that, as you press a little more into the inner hands, I want you to also feel like the inner elbow creases are going forward. And what happens there is the shoulder joint is actually doing that job. And you'll feel a little, sort of like your shoulder blades are trying to come towards the armpits. See if you can feel that. And keep coming back to the inner hands because it's really easy to start letting the weight come to the little finger side, and you don't want that to happen. If all is well, we can maybe try to straighten our knees a little bit and take more, let the legs take more of your weight now. So you don't want to feel a lot of heaviness in the shoulders. Maybe it'll help to pedal it out. You might want to try this for those of you who really want to keep flexible in the feet and the backs of the legs. Come up to your tippy toes and make sure the big toe stays rooted. And come all the way up. Bend the knees and then push back onto the feet as much as you can. Maybe do this a few times, and all the time you're staying really long in the arms and let the arms do their work. Very good. And from this, your classic downward facing dog, let's slowly come into a plank pose. So you have to feel a lot of strength in the arms. Inner hands are really weighted down. Feel the core work. As you exhale next, draw in the core and let's come on back to downward facing dog. Let it go. Find some length in your side waist. And one more time, let's come back into the plank pose. Nice and easy. It's like you're going over a hurdle with your tummy. As you're inhaling, you're drawing in and up. Coming into the plank pose. Feel the work in this pose. Core is drawing in. And as best you can, let's lower to the floor. Now, for those of you who know how to do chaturanga, you can start lowering and just come as far as you can until you drop your knees. Or you can just come onto your tummies any way you can. We first get to the floor here. It's going to be just an easy, gentle back bending. So you want to go ahead and just keep your elbows sort of comfortably at a right angle. Everything's comfortable. You're not trying to go into any position, but you're just releasing to the floor. So the forearms are on the floor, part of your upper arms are even on the floor. And then feel a little rootedness in your pubic bone. And notice as you press a little into the pubic bone, the tailbone will probably point a little more towards your heels. And that's what you want to keep in your low back. The next time you inhale, just let your arms traction the floor towards you as you slowly look up and maybe lift the chest just a little bit. And as you exhale, release. Now you might find that maybe your arms would be more comfortable, maybe elbows brought back, and just find your sweet spot here. Every time you inhale, you're just pulling the floor towards you with the arms and bringing the chest and head off the floor. And just let yourself build into this nice and slowly and gradually, where the next time you inhale and start to pull the floor towards you, maybe put a little more focus into drawing the shoulder blades closer together behind you. Now, if you have any niggles in your low back today, you might want to stick with this version, and it's a lovely warm-up, even if you want to continue on. And if you want to continue on, you're going to bring your hands right back, armpits at least, but maybe even lower than that for some of us. Finger points are on the floor, elbows are pointing straight up, everything else is the same, legs are heavy, pubic bone is heavy, and as you inhale, you're lifting up. And you're not pressing into those finger points much, but you're tractioning back, if that makes sense. You're just pulling the floor back. And as you exhale, release. As you inhale, you're reaching up, little arch in the back, and as you exhale, coming down. And again, you might want to stay here if you want to continue on. We're just going to bring our finger points out on either side. Elbows are sort of at a right angle to the floor, and finger points are definitely pointing, pressing into the floor. As you inhale next, press into the finger points as you lift up. And just notice it does slightly different. It affects the muscles in the back body slightly differently. And as you exhale, release. Inhale, coming up. Pubic bone is grounded. Just coming up as far as you can. And you're exhaling, just slowly coming down. Inhaling, rising up. And exhaling, coming down. And can we all do this one more time? Whatever version you're on. One more time. And release. Drawing the hands in towards the body, pressing into the hands, lifting just enough so that we can all come into pose of a child. And just feel that lovely release in your low back. You're not trying to make anything happen in pose of a child. You're not trying to, all you're really doing is surrendering. So just enjoy whatever version of child's pose feels best to you right now. And then we're all going to have one more long, slow breath. And then from here, just look forward a little bit and reach your arms out as far as you can and feel the extension. Maybe just even try to exaggerate it a little bit, and then put your finger points on the floor and just allow the tailbone to point behind you just maybe a fraction of an inch more. Just feel that extension in the spine. And then look up just slightly as you inhale. And as you exhale, let's go ahead and walk those hands over to the right. And as you exhale, we're totally releasing as much as you can into that little curve, that little C curve. Just let go. And just feel that little tug on the left side of the body. And then inhaling, looking up and walking the hands back to center. You're finding that length, and then as you exhale, you're walking over to the left. And then Just let yourself go on the next exhale. Really release down. Let go. And feel that now, that little pull, that little tug on the right side of the waist. Maybe the right lumbar spine. Lovely. And then when you inhale, just look up a little bit and walk back to center. Very nice. And pull yourself back up. Flex your toes under. If you need to rearrange your hands in the right position, that's fine, but we're going to come into a downward facing dog. Release into it. Feel all the aspects of your downward facing dog. You know, that little spiraling movement in the arms. As much as you can. Feel the weight settle into your heels. Whether they touch the floor or not does not matter. Just let the hips, from the hips to the heels, get as heavy as they can. And then we're all going to come to standing from here. So it might feel better to walk your feet closer to your hands. Maybe it feels better for you to walk your hands closer to your feet. Any combination of the two is fine. And we're all going to slowly, when you get your hands and feet close enough, really drop your bums with bent knees. So you want to challenge those legs a little bit. You can put one hand on top of each thigh, and we're all going to come to standing from here. So once we're all standing, let's come into that position where at first let's just be nice and comfortable and feel the feet firmly on the floor. And all you're going to do to begin is just sort of march on the spot. And so to do that, you're going to keep the balls of the feet on the floor, and you're going to raise your heel on one foot and then the other. And then move your arms in whatever rhythm feels good to you. And so it usually takes a little bit, maybe a few times to get this. I want you to really feel warmed up in the arms and the legs. So just a little marching on the spot. Almost like you're sort of jogging right on the spot. Nice big full breaths. Just try to keep this going for just a few more seconds once you get the rhythm. Then nice and slowly you're going to come to stillness. Come into your mountain pose. Make sure your mat doesn't have a big wrinkle in it. Come into your mountain pose. Feel the feet on the floor. And just slowly on the inhale, just lift your both heels up off the floor. Come up as high as you can, and then lower back down. Do the same thing again. You're just raising up the heels, challenging your balance just a little bit. And as you exhale, heels come down. Let's try it with raising the arms and the heels at the same time. Rise up on the inhale. Come on down. You can bring the arms to the sides just for a little bit of shoulder mobility too. As you inhale, come up with the arms. Come up with the heels. As you exhale, release the arms down to the sides. One more time as you inhale, raise heels, raise your arms. Really feel the length in your spine, and then exhale, release. And just adding the breath right on in. Just place the hands to the heart here. Just feel the thumbs right on the breastbone. And then as you exhale, you're going to lower the folded hands. Just let them separate when they want to. As you inhale, you're breathing the arms up over the head. As you exhale, you're going over, just arcing over to the right. Maybe turn your head to the left a little bit, towards your left elbow. As you inhale, straighten up, feel the length. As you exhale, you're going over to the left in that little arc, and look over towards your right elbow. As you inhale, reach up. As you exhale, release the arms. Let's do that one more time, holding the hands to the heart. As you exhale, release the arms straight down the midline of the body. And then when you inhale, palms turn away from each other And you reach the arms up, find your length. And then exhale, arcing over to the right, looking over a little to the left. And when it's time to inhale, you straighten up and reach. As you exhale, going over, arcing over to the left and looking over to the right. Inhaling back to center, feel the extension, and let's exhale, release. Let's do this again, and we'll just come into a little bit of a lunge now. And we're going to do a forward bend and then come into a lunge. And so as you exhale, release the hands to the sides, release the hands straight down the midline of the body. As you inhale, you're reaching the arms up over the head. As you exhale, little play in the knees, you sink down into your forward bend. Fingertips touch the floor. As you inhale, can you try to straighten the thighs as much as they're able to do? Just lift your heart a little bit. As you exhale, soften the bend in the knees, line up fingers and toes, reach back with the right leg. And in this high lunge, really settle yourself where if you look back, make sure your toes are pointing straight ahead on the back foot. And just arrange yourself. We're going to lift into a warrior one. So arrange yourself so you can feel the strength in your own leg. So you might need to maybe pull that back foot up towards the front foot an inch or so. Just make sure you're okay so that you can lift into a warrior one. And you can put your hands right on your hips. Just feel the challenge in your balance. What I want you to find is length in your side waist and length in the spine. If all is well, you can drop your hands or arms on the exhale and inhale, reach up. As you exhale again, drop the arms back to the hips. Just have a few repetitions where you're bending the back knee, but the front knee, the front leg, everything is staying the same there, but you just bend the back knee a little bit and then straighten it out. Bend and straighten. Feel the challenge there. You might feel it in your hip joint as well. Breathing steadily through the challenge. Some of you might be able to get your knee really close to the floor. Of course, the more you bend it, the harder it is. And let's come to a ceasing of that movement for a moment. Let the arms drop. Inhale, raise the arms. Reach up really, really high. And then can you transition right into a warrior two? So you're reaching up and blooming the arms out to the side. And you may need to just wiggle around a little bit to find the right position for your warrior two. And be here for a moment. Just come out and back in again. Each time you're doing this, you're maybe finding a new perfection in the pose for you. Remember, the breath is long and steady throughout. And then can you just hold that pose for just a moment? If all is well, we're going to come into proud warrior. So on the next inhale, you're drawing the front palm forward and up. And the back hand, maybe put the back of your hand right on the small of your back. And you're just trying to really feel a little bit of a arch here. And exhaling, coming back into your warrior two. On your next exhale, can we come into a little bit of an extended warrior? So remember, you're just reaching with the arms, finding a resting point with the forearm on that left thigh, the front thigh. But remember, not a lot of weight is going in there. You're reaching up with the upper hand. And maybe you can continue on and really feel that stretch in the whole upper side body. Lovely. And then when we're coming out, it's like a little windmill. It's an organic process where you start to look forward. Nice and slowly, you're coming right back into your warrior two. And then release. And then heel and toe, until you can hop right back to your starting position. Back into your Tadasana with hands right in front of your heart. On your next exhale, you're just letting those hands slide right down the midline of the body. And you're inhaling, breathing up into the extended mountain pose. As you exhale, just swan dive into your forward bend. As you inhale, a little lift in your heart. And as you exhale, bend in the knees, line up those fingers and toes, and then you can step back with the left leg. So how you're in a bit of a high lunge, but remember we're going to lift into warrior one. So make sure you place yourself in a position where your legs can take that, okay? And if you need to actually come out and then come back into your warrior one, that's absolutely fine. It will challenge your balance if you're not used to transitioning that way. No problem. So hands on the hips, you just align yourself at first, dropping the arms on the exhale, inhaling, reaching up, feeling a little pressure into the back foot as you look up. As you exhale, drop the hands back to your hips. And just with the back leg, you're bending and extending that back knee just a few times. You'll start to feel the challenge, and just let your breath be really long and deep and slow as you feel that challenge. When you've had enough, just come to stillness, and then you drop the arms. Inhaling, rise up in the arms, reach up nice and high, and find yourself being able to find that space to segue into your warrior two. You may need to actually have a little look down, make sure everything's okay and you're lined up properly. Come in and out a few times. Sometimes that is really helpful for the muscle memory of forming that pose. And then when you feel like, yes, I could hold this for a few breaths, then you've probably found it. Just come back to your inner awareness and to your breathing. And when you're ready to transition, we're going to turn the front palm upward. And as you inhale, upper arm goes up and the lower arm raises down or goes down into your proud warrior. And it's on an exhale that you come out when you're ready, back to your warrior two. And it's also on an exhale that you find your extended warrior. So you're just reaching slightly, the feet stay and legs stay as they are. So you're reaching with the torso and the arms, resting the right elbow or right forearm on the right thigh, reaching up. Find your back foot, so really press into the little toe side of that back foot, and then can you come into the extended warrior? It should feel really good. If it's not for you, remember you can always give it a miss. And then to come out, just windmill that upper arm, bring the lower arm back, and there you are, into your warrior two. And then release on the exhale, where the knees straighten, arms lower. Turn your feet so they face towards the front. You can come in just a little bit, but before we rise all the way up, we're going to come into a wide angle forward bend. So with hands right on your hip joints or thereabouts, press into the feet, get nice and long as you inhale. Feel the lengthening of your sternum. As you exhale, we're just hinging, pivoting on your hip joints, coming forward. And of course, the hope is that you'll be able to reach the floor. If that's just not going to work for you, then you just stay at parallel. And you would probably need to come in and out of that a few times as we progress in the deeper pose. So really pay attention to what your body's telling you. If you can reach the floor, that's fabulous, do that. If not, you'll make those adjustments just by coming in and out of the chest parallel to the floor position. If you reach the floor, I want you to experiment here just a little bit. Feel the feet on both sides, and particularly make sure you continue to feel the big toe as well as the little toe side of the foot on the floor. And then you're just going to see how much can you surrender to the floor. So what it feels like is that you're just folding the tummy right over between your legs. And release as much as you can. The legs have to stay strong, and you're just releasing the upper body right between your legs. Lovely. And then rise up so that your chest is more or less parallel to the floor. Look down and place your left hand right at center. As you inhale, reach the right arm out to the side and up into a little twist. Press into that bottom hand. Nice and easy. You're just continuing to breathe with the movement. Right arm comes down on the exhale, and then it takes the place of the left hand. And you're inhaling the left arm up, pressing into both feet evenly as you come into whatever twist your body allows right now. And then you're releasing the left arm down. And then with a little bend in the knees, real strength and focus in the feet, you're going to bring the hands back to the hips and come back up to standing. And I want you to just heel and toe a little closer together. And then maybe you can hop back into your Tadasana. And just be here for just a moment and have some long, slow breaths. Just feel what's happening in the body. And then let's all come back to the floor from here. So as everybody comes back to the floor, let's stretch our legs out into the Dandasana, or staff pose as it's known. And so find those sits bones and get the legs really long from the sits bones to the heels. But then feel also from the sits bones all the way up to the crown of the head. So that really long shape vertically as well. And take your hands to either side of your hips. Take a little weight into the arms. As you press into those hands, you may have to, if you don't have long arms, you may have to actually use your fists. What I want you to feel, though, is a weightless quality in your spine. And create length between each and every one of your vertebrae. And slowly let the weight sink back towards the central axis, your spine and your sits bones, and try to keep that length you've created. And from here, just take the left heel and let it slide back towards your hip. And then we're going to come into a twist, so you can decide, do you want to keep your knee just and foot just as it is, or do you want to lift up and cross it over the extended right leg? So it is your choice, and you might want to just try it in your body and see how it feels. What you want to feel, of course, is a nice evenness through both sits bones. You can go ahead and just hold that left knee with the right hand and place the left hand fingers behind you. So it's keeping the twist nice and simple. We're going to inhale and really get long. So you're feeling the sits bones pressing into the floor and the crown of the head just lengthening upward towards the ceiling. And then slowly on an exhale, just start to allow from the navel up a little twist in the body. And I want you to find what really feels good. You want to feel a little bit of a challenge in the twist, but you don't want to go so far that it's uncomfortable. So it is a matter of exploration. And see if you can do that. You might need to wiggle those back fingers to a new position as you find the best and deepest twist for your body right now. And when you find it, let's just have a couple breaths there. And slowly you can release as you inhale back to center. And from here, slowly go ahead and put the soles of your feet together and come into Baddha Konasana, or bound angle as it's called. If you place your hands behind you, maybe we can all lift our hips right up off the floor and loosen our groins just a little bit. Just see what happens in your body with this. Lovely. So with this now, come off that just a little bit, where you take a little, you're leaning back just a little bit, and you start to raise your right knee. Going to come into a slightly different twist. Once you get to a certain point, you can help it along. You're going to lay the upper foot right into the insole of the bottom foot. And once you get to this position, both hands can be on the back side of that left thigh. But what I want you to do is maybe separate the knees a little bit. It's actually better to do that. It broadens the pose out just a little more. So you don't have to be like this. It's actually better to broaden those knees just a little bit. And so from here, we're going to slowly begin to look over to the right. And here's the difference in this type of a twist, because in the twist we just did, the spine wants to be really straight, but it really is okay to almost come into a slight back bend in this twist. So you want to walk your hands around so that they support you in the maximum your body can do, but then you can go ahead and look up a little bit and broaden the shoulder blades just a little bit. Or rather, broaden the collarbones just a little bit. And then release, coming back. First into Baddha Konasana, and then right back into Dandasana, staff pose. Just for a moment. And from here, you're going to draw the right heel back. And you're going to find your position that feels best to you. Might be over here, and it might be right where the heel is just in front of the sits bone on the same side. So you choose. Opposite arm wraps around the knee that's pointing to the ceiling, and poise yourself with the right hand where you feel supported and the spine can be nice and extended. So find the length first. Sits bones pressing into the floor and crown of the head reaching upward. And then just slowly let yourself come into the twist. It just feels a little bit like the rib cage and the chest is looking first over to the right. Just slowly feel yourself coming into it to whatever extent you can. And so it might be the end of this might just be a feeling of broadening in the right side of your collarbone and looking back towards the right a little bit more. When you find your maximum, just surrender into it and have a couple breaths. And we'll come out slowly on an inhale, just sort of unravel. And then from the brief staff pose, we'll come into Baddha Konasana. And with this one, we're going over to the other side. So you want to start putting more weight onto the right thigh and the right hip. Left knee is lifting, and then you can help it along. Just bring it over. And the upper foot, the back of the foot, can just cozy right into the insole of the bottom foot. And remember, it's fine to separate those knees a little bit. Right? Notice that it feels better when you do it. And then the left hand comes over, meets the right. And just let yourself build this twist nice and slowly. And really feel it. That's where you get the most benefit, if you are really aware and mindfully performing each and every action with breath. And eventually, you're just looking up and broadening those collarbones. Just having a couple breaths here, maybe 3 breaths, when you find the full expression for you. And then releasing back when you're ready. Maybe a brief little flutter in Baddha Konasana. Coming back into Dandasana. And then let's all come to the floor from here. Just settling back to the floor. Any little stretch you would like now. And once you've done that, bend the knees. Hook that right ankle over the left knee. And let's all just go ahead and interlock our fingers behind our necks. And that helps us really to keep our elbows rooted to the floor. And so the forearms and the upper arms are doing as much as they can to help the expansion in the upper body. And slowly on an exhale, you're just going to let the right knee come over to the right. And you're going to keep the left elbow rooted to the floor. So the right knee is just going to come over as far as it can. But you're not going to lift up like this. You're going to really stay rooted, the upper body to the floor. Just have a couple of long, slow breaths here. And just feel, where in your body are you really feeling the stretch, the twist, the tug, whatever it is, the pull, whatever it is you're feeling. And can you just breathe into that sensation? And when you're ready to come out, you want to press back into your elbows really firmly. And it's on an exhale that you lift back out. Uncrossed. And you can stretch the right leg up when you do that. And then just bend the right knee. Put the right sole of the foot on the floor. We're going to switch sides as you're ready. So both elbows, both shoulder blades are on the floor. And as you exhale, the knees come over to the left. Just as far, remember, as your body wants to allow that. See, can you just surrender a bit with a few long, slow breaths? Remember, don't let your right elbow or right shoulder blade become airborne. And then as on an exhale, you'll come out. Make sure both elbows are pressed back into the floor. And come on out. Uncross, and you can let the arms go free now. From here, draw both thighs in towards the body. And wiggle around a little bit and just see, can you nudge those thighs just as close in as your body allows? And just start to feel the sort of reverse pose of a child that you're in right now. Feel any effects in your low back. And then release. And this time I want you just to take your forearms and hook them right underneath your knees. And maybe if you can interlock your hands somewhere in between those thighs. And this is a really easy version of a happy baby. So go ahead and rise up with the feet. You've got a little hammock with those forearms and the hands. And just a little bit when you exhale, can you encourage the knee to come a little closer in? And if you can pulse through that a few breaths, if it feels okay, you can go ahead and come into the full happy baby pose. So just judge for yourself what's working for you today. What I want you to be able to feel is a release and a broadening in your low back. Little movement if it's helpful. And then let's slowly release that and come into a supine, a reclining bound angle with both soles of the feet together. And then draw those shoulder blades really up underneath you. And just release as much as you can. For the next 3 breaths, I want you to really do belly breathing so you can feel your abdomen rise up when you inhale. And it releases down when you exhale. And as and when you're ready, you can take a couple more breaths if you'd like, but just start to stretch the body, the legs out into Shavasana. If you need any more movement, let your body guide you. So try to assess, do you need anything else right now? And if you do, feel free to have any little stretch or pose you would like. The idea is that your body is to the point that it can really surrender into Shavasana. So let that happen as best you can. And just allow the weight to sink towards the floor now. And once that happens, let your focus and your awareness come right back to the breath. So you're just working now on slowing the breath down and letting it stay really long. So as you continue to focus on the breath, you'll also spread your awareness out and notice if there's any tension anywhere in your body and just do your best to let that go. Sometimes it's easy to mindfully release it on the exhales. So just let your body continue to sink heavily to the floor and just let your awareness focus on the inhales and exhales as best you can. At this stage, you're not doing anything to change how you're breathing. Just let the breath be as it is. And all you're doing is observing. So if you have the time and the inclination, you can stay in Shavasana for a while longer. And if you choose to close out with me, you're coming up to a seated posture now. And so for those of you who have come up to a more vertical spine, just let yourself come back to deep awareness of the body. And then open your eyes if you haven't already done that. Just feel the focus coming back to the outside world. And placing hands to the heart. Namaste. Thank you. And I'll see you next time.